If you ask people what the best investment is, most of them would say stocks, real estate, crypto, or maybe starting a business. But the best investment you can ever make isn't financial, it's investment in yourself. It is about things that will completely change the way who you are, who you become, and how you can then use this energy, this new way how you act to make even more money. This investment completely changes the person you are becoming. The returns don't show up in your bank account first. They show up in your confidence, new opportunities, and the way how you perceive the world. Ask questions everywhere because curiosity compounds like money. Most people consume content passively. They watch Netflix, they scroll on Instagram, they watch videos on YouTube, and that's it. The difference between someone who stays the same and someone who grows is that one asks, how does this work? Why does this person think this way? What would I have done differently? And what can I steal from this idea to give this unique twist that's just my own? Imagine watching a podcast with a billionaire, an athlete, someone very successful. Most people just passively listen to their stories and they say, wow, good for them. But curious people, they study their thinking. And that's where the value is. Even though you can't respond to the interview in a way that you are directly sitting and talking to the person, you can continue this conversation with yourself. You can constantly question what's being said and think about how you can apply that to your own situation. So the first investment you can make in yourself is to rethink the way how you consume information, what you learn from it, what do you do when you hear a story of success, of a failure? How can you apply lessons from that to your own life? That's the first investment you can make, and you will see the returns very quickly, because with this new curious mindset, you see ways how you can apply it for your own life everywhere. When you travel with your friends, you discover places. But when you travel alone, you discover yourself. The second investment you can make is investment in your solo traveling. And guys, I can tell you this is life-changing. When I went to exchange to Canada, I spent my 1 week break traveling around Canada. And if someone told me this months before going for an exchange, I would be like, you're crazy. I'm not gonna travel anywhere alone. Why would I do it? It's so scary. And it's such a big step outside of your comfort zone. But I'm looking back on it as one of the best weeks I've spent in Canada. I was on exchange in Montreal, where I was based. And during this week, I spent 1 weekend in Toronto. And then I flew from Toronto to Vancouver, where I did a solo trip. I'm still so excited about this because that was the best thing. Vancouver is amazing. I loved it. I visited BC University. I had a great time. I met new people, but I went there alone. No one from my uni or exchange friends went there. I spent a weekend there. I even took a ferry to Victoria Island. It was amazing. So I spent 3 full days in Vancouver, and then I flew back to Toronto, where I spent another weekend. And then I arrived to Montreal, and it was a week away, but I felt like I learned so much. Guys, definitely you need to start traveling more on your own. It's eye-opening. I'm telling you, it's amazing. You learn to become adaptable. You learn how to solve problems on your own. No one knows who you are. You can make mistakes. You can decide how you want to spend your days. You have complete freedom, but also responsibility to make sure your trip looks a certain way, but you don't have to rely on anyone else. And you learn so much in the process by making decisions, iterating, changing things. It's such a great investment in yourself. Traveling alone is one thing, but another thing is taking yourself on solo dates or eating somewhere on your own. And this is also very awkward at first. When you're in a restaurant and you have to eat on your own and everyone else is there with people, it can feel pretty weird at first. When I traveled to Strasbourg for one of the EU events I attended last year, I spent one dinner on my own in the restaurant. And at first it felt super weird. I'm there alone. Everyone else was there with someone. And I felt this urge to just reach out for my phone every now and then. But then I realized, no, learn to feel at peace just with your presence and enjoy the moment of being on your own, eating great food. At the beginning, you are worried that what will other people think of you? You're eating alone in a restaurant. That's so sad. But then you realize that nobody is looking at you. It's all just in your head that someone actually cares. No one really cares. If you ask those people sitting around you on those tables, next morning, if they remembered you sitting there alone, they wouldn't say that they remember anything. Doing things on your own, doing this solo adventures, solo trips, solo dates, just help you expose your own insecurities and things you need to work on. And you start questioning assumptions that you didn't even know you have. But that's another element of you that you can now work with, because then you realize that, okay, I struggle with this. So someone is now thinking too much about me. In reality, no one is watching, and it's a spotlight effect we discuss in many of my videos. But you see that, okay, this is something I'm struggling with, let's say. So what do? I learn how to process this more. When you identify these things about yourself, you can work on them, because how can you get better and grow and become the person you always wanted if you do not know what you're supposed to work on? So you need to take yourself out on your own more often to find these weak spots that you can then work on to become more confident, stronger, better version of yourself. If you're always the smartest person in the room, you are probably in the wrong room. Spend more time in rooms where you feel uncomfortable. This is all about the horrible imposter syndrome. The goal isn't to enter the room feeling the most confident. The goal is to enter the room despite not feeling confident at all. It's very interesting how we interpret this discomfort as a meaning that we do not belong somewhere. High performers interpret this discomfort as an evidence that they are growing. It's not a tool for comparison, it's just a sign. It's a signal that you feel uncomfortable because you're doing something that you have never done before, something that challenges you, which means you can just grow to become better through it. You can't get worse by being in a room where you're not that good enough yet. And that's the keyword, yet. You'll get there. And then at some point you again reach the level where that room where you are right now will again not feel big enough for you. It means you will have to level up and again move to a room where you again feel like a beginner. This can be anything. First networking event, some important business meeting you're invited to. If you're in a room full of successful people, just learn to feel comfortable in this uncomfortable situation. Because you walk in and you ask yourself, why am I here? I don't belong here. But 6 months later, that room becomes normal. And that's a moment when you will need to start searching for a bigger room. And that's called growth. Another investment in yourself is upgrading your wardrobe. And I'm not talking about expensive pieces, I'm talking about intentionality. People often spend thousands of euros on status pieces that can show off to other people how rich they are, when in reality they don't wear things that even fit them. So the biggest wardrobe updates comes from better fit, cleaner shoes, better fabrics, higher quality materials. And it's not just about what people will think of you, but it is also about how you feel about yourself, because what you wear sends a signal to your surroundings. Your clothes are a message that you send before you speak. And this is not about that people should judge you. They will judge you, and they are judging you all the time. But it is not just about them. It's also about you, because what you wear influences your psychology. When you feel put together, you behave differently, you carry yourself differently, you show up differently. The point is not to change your style or to become someone else and follow certain vision of how you should look like if you want to achieve X, Y, and Z. No, it's about making a sharper version of yourself through the clothes you wear. Most purchases aren't desires, they are emotional responses. You're tired, you're stressed, you're worried, you're happy, you're excited. So the best investment you can do is to delay purchases. So if there is something you want, wait a couple of days and avoid impulsive purchases. Time separates desire from impulse. So if you wait a couple of days, you create this distance. You will see if you truly want that thing, or if you want it just because you saw an ad, or if you know about a person who has that thing and you also want it, so you are also cool. I always give myself this time window, and if I still want it after that time period passes, and if I'm still inside me truly desiring that thing, then I buy it. But if I just forget about it in the time period I told myself I'm not gonna purchase it right now, then I just forget it and move on. I didn't need that thing. Funny thing is, don't wait too long, because when you wait too long, like I do most of the time, it gets sold out or it just disappears from the offer. So just don't wait too long. 24, 48 hours, 2-3 days is, I think, a good time period. By delaying these impulsive purchases, you're also building and investing into one important skill, and that's called delayed gratification. The ability to delay gratification is one of the most underestimated forms of self-investment, because every impulse that you resist is a proof that you are in control of your decisions and you can control your emotions. Because every time you resist these impulses, you create this proof that you are in control of your decisions and not your emotions. So to wrap it up, most self-investment doesn't look impressive on social media. It's about asking one more question, booking that trip, walking into the room, choosing quality over quantity, waiting before buying. All these small decisions add up. You need to repeat this for years, because the person who you're becoming ultimately depends on decisions you take on a day-to-day basis. Every point we went through in this list is actually having this common denominator, and that's the ability to delay your gratification. By asking questions, you are learning before seeing the results. By booking those solo trips, you go through discomfort before actually seeing the confidence. When you enter new rooms, you go through this uncomfortable, awkward feelings before seeing real growth. When you level up your wardrobe, you have higher quality clothes rather than quantity and constantly buying and shopping for new things that you don't even need. And when you wait before your purchases, you develop this discipline over impulsive behavior. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.